Hey folks, it's Marvin Cash, the host of the Articulate Fly. We're back with another East Tennessee fishing report with Ellis Ward. Ellis, how you doing?
I'm doing well, Marv. How are you?
As always, I'm just trying to stay out of trouble. And were you exploring late tonight, or did you have clients out late tonight?
No, I was doing some exploring, poking around some different likely spots for muskie, and some lesser fished and lesser trafficked for a reason, sections of the river. So it's always sporty getting out of boat ramps that are, putting in and taking out of boat ramps that are made for kayaks when the water's, 10 feet down from an already sort of, I'm not sure what this was built for type level of boat ramp. So I got it out and we're on the road after a hiccup or two, but not the first time. It won't be the last.
Yeah, well, there you go. And so, it's kind of funny. It's like, pumpkin spice lattes show up and everybody loses their mind and they start thinking about musky fishing, right?
Oh yeah. I think that it really did feel like, at least around here, we had the week before. So September 23rd was opening day of archery season. And that the week before, and so my ears kind of start perking up and start paying attention to what deer are doing. And not because I hunt, I'm gonna go collect their dead tails. But yeah, it was cold. It was low 50s at night, and it's frost, and then 70s, low 70s during the day, high 60s with a little bit of cloud cover. So it really did feel like the autumn. I don't know if it's solstice, whatever, first day of fall, coinciding with a couple days of cold weather. I can't believe I haven't seen more streamer season posts, but definitely be on the lookout for grip and grins of last year's muskies and time to huck the big meat posts, because we did get it's pumpkin spice latte season.
There you go. And, like we were saying before we started recording, it's that interesting time of year too, where, we're in that kind of shoulder season and things are weird, right? So it's low and clear, not a lot of biomass, makes for kind of funky fishing conditions.
Yeah, it's been there's been a couple really hard days of fishing where sometimes it makes sense. Big sun, clear skies, clear water. To a certain degree, lots of pressure, but I tend to find ways to, fishing off peak, all that stuff. It just, a lot of these fish we're fishing to aren't really fished to, by the majority of the guiding population. But yeah, you take away, you pop up rocks in the middle Watauga, for example, and those things in April, they have daisy chains, four or five segments of caddis off of the rock. So the whole rock is covered, and then there's, it's 4 or 5 deep of, all the width of the rock, just caddis. And that's one rock, and it's a whole field. And then there's, nymphs of all sizes, including some, the 14, 12 sulfur / PMDs. And yeah, there's just, it's just full of life. And we're seeing like the teenage, or I don't know, juvenile caddis, and they still pop out here and there, and you still see the caddis eats. But in these same fields where you're seeing that life, that just amount of food, really. You fast forward 3 or 4 months and it's not there anymore. So I'm pretty good at making stuff up after doing this for 4 years now, but this one definitely still feels like um, I'm definitely putting pieces together, and I don't necessarily know if there's science behind it. But you take away all that food, and it becomes, the ability for that bite window turning on is just really fickle. That's the only reason the major difference that I see why that would be happening. And then you add on some other changes that are occurring on the tailwaters, and this is why I love these rivers, and a lot of similarities to what I fished back in DC on the Potomac, with it being tidal. Starting 2 weeks ago, about 10 days ago, the lake below South Holston and Watauga rivers started dropping. They draw it down, and it influences not just the mouth of the river and where it ends. So now we have more river, but the whole river itself feels that pull. And the 240 CFS of yesterday just looks and feels different. Lanes are different. So there's some adjustments. One of the things that I like to do, especially after a whole summer of doing a lot of fishing and a lot of the afternoon streamer fishing, on the Watauga, generating 1 to 6, is now that we're starting to get nightfall earlier and earlier, shifting trips a little bit so that we can catch 3 or 4 hours of being under the stars and mousing. And it's just, it's a good way to change things up. And if the bite is tough, it's kind of, that can still translate to mice, but most of the time it's, you get a fresh hand dealt to you. And yeah, getting out early. I've been doing some split days. We'll go out from 6 to 10 and then go out from 6 to 10. So lots of ways to work around a tough, 12 to 5 bite, which that's kind of always the worst time anyhow. So looking forward to a little more stabilizing as the river acclimates to the lake dropping, and we get the fall bugs.
Yeah, leaves a little room for day drinking too.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to go out to a bar at 12, just that's why we wear safety goggles while we're mousing.
Catch the early shift at Fuzzy's.
Uh-huh.
So, back on the pumpkin spice latte theme, got a musky question for you from one of our regulars, Brenner, and he just wanted to kind of get your thoughts. And this is another one. People have been asking these great matrix questions for you the last couple times. This is another one. It's like, preferred musky rod, line, and leader setup.
Yeah. So, man, I think something to, I guess, focus on and be aware of is that some of the lines, this is like I don't know, cautionary tale for when you're getting 11 and 12 weight lines. Some of the lines have, I think the Airflow Big Game Depth Finder has a 50-pound core, and I feel like that's the highest test. I don't lose musky flies. I mean, in almost all of the water that we're fishing, we're not fishing like we're fishing for trout. It's a much slower process, and you can you can tee up your shots. That said, you are fishing big flies, and so some of that leader, rod line leader configuration, you can start to feel that it's not right if you, for example, go from an 11 weight. I like I'm going to start with the line first because you need mass to deliver. Not all flies. All flies don't have the same massive amount of air resistance. I like to, same with 7s and 8 weights. I like to have a setup that feels comfortable and okay tossing single Bufords. I also want to have the ability to use that, we'll say rod, to throw some giant stuff, and maybe that's having a separate spool, but getting a line where you can do both and have it feel comfortable. Again, for an all day casting, I think is really important. So the line that I've found that I like the most, and I've done, gosh, I can't even, the 300 up through 700 grain airflow depth finder, the big game series. It's fantastic at sinking your flies. It gets down. It feels like you're casting a giant fly, and it feels like you're casting a really poorly tied, waterlogged double Buford when you don't have any fly on it. And I think they even advertise as salt water, so that's a really limited option. I don't even cast it or keep it on the boat anymore. But that series within the, I think, 400 to 500 grain is a good line, and it's durable. The scientific anglers, 11 weight. I think it's advertised as the 11 weight, 450 grain. It's called the custom sink tip, which really just means customizable. So this could be, any line's customizable if you cut the end off. But they put in, I think it's either intermediate, it could even be floating. There's a chunk of line that is not sinking at the end of a intermediate 2 inches per second, 3 inches per second sink rate. And I know I'm throwing a lot of information out there, but using that 450 grains, if you're going 450 grains at 7 inches per second, that pulls, you got to be moving your fly. If you're fishing a single Buford, if you're fishing some of the smaller flies, which a lot of folks do if they're out fishing all day, you got to be moving that thing, and it's kind of tough to get the hubber, just because that 450 grains at that sink rate is really pulling. Some of the musky flies that are 7-8 inches long, they're just not really that massive. So I'm going to stop there and say that the scientific anglers, 10, 11 ish, some of the 12 weights when you start to get up to 500 is just, yes, I see implications for that. Are you going to be comfortable casting that all day? Well, you need a 12 weight. Are you going to be comfortable casting that all day and the next day? I kind of like that 11 weight as the middle ground. For the rods, I have a TFO Axiom 2X that, after getting, let's see, the ESOC series, and then I have Blaine's rod and the 8 weight. That Axiom 2X it still has some fly rod feeling, and so does Blaine's rod. It's not fully a broomstick like some of the other musky rods. So those would be for the 10, and 11, and even on the 10s, I'll go the mangrove, just because you don't have to worry about being too heavy duty when you're going 10 weight. When you're starting to get up to the bigger rods and the 12 weights, one that kind of surprised me, I got a Wolf Rodco double haul a couple years ago, and same deal where you can feel it load and it can handle, well above 500 grains, but you can throw a 400 grain line and smaller flies, and it doesn't feel like you're carting around a street lamp all day. And then real quick, I know this is more of a rabbit hole than I thought it was. I'm gonna just run through the concept or the general makeup of a leader. Couple feet of at least 40-pound fluoro or mono. I'm gonna be okay with either, and then at least the length and a little more of the face of a muskie to its stomach. So they'll inhale, they'll T-bone, they'll also come up and swallow the thing. And you want to make sure that I like the Scientific Anglers knottable 7x7. They sell it in spools that look just like tippet, and it really of the knottable stainless steel leaders that I've tried, and I've tried all the American Fishing Line, all that stuff. I think the Scientific Anglers might be a little more expensive, or it may be comparable to some of the better brands that you get in fishing stores, but they sell it in 25 and 40, and it truly is knottable. And unless you're doing a clinch knot, it doesn't crease on itself. And I like throwing a little dab of super glue on there just because it's nylon coated. So can we stop there?
Yeah, dude, I would literally just pop the safety off the Trent gun.
Okay, I was gonna say, I don't know. I'm in the middle of nowhere, but I did start hearing a helicopter flying around.
Yeah, we were coming for you. You took the red pill and the green pill. So,
I hope that's helpful. There's a lot there. So if there is, follow-up questions, ping me, and I'll either try to answer or point you in the right direction.
Yeah, well, there you go. And folks, we love questions at the Articulate Fly. You can email them to us. You can DM us on social media, whatever's easiest for you. And if we use your question, I will send you some Articulate Fly swag. I'll even send you some tranquilizer casings I've had to use on Ellis in the past. And we'll enter you in a drawing for 2 days of fishing with Ellis and 1 night at the Watauga River Lodge in Ellis before I let you get back on the road and make it home and get to bed and get ready for tomorrow. You want to let folks know where they can find you so they can book in fish with you?
Yeah, I think you should probably give whoever is going to come fish with me some tranquilizers, just because I can get to talking on the boat too. You can find me on Instagram at Ellis Ward Guides. Website is elliswardfishing.com, and the best way to ask questions about line, leader, etc., book a trip, pick my brain about whatever flies, fishing, this area, is my cell phone at 513-543-0019.
Well, there you go. Well, listen, folks, fall is my favorite time of the year to get out on the water. You owe it to yourself to get out there and catch a few. Tight lines, everybody. Tight lines, Ellis.
Appreciate it, Marv.